My name is Emma, and I'm 46 years old. I've lived a relatively ordinary life in many ways, but it has always been full of love, family, and quiet joys. I'm a mother of 3 and have been married to my husband, Daniel, for over 20 years. We live in a cozy suburban neighborhood where I teach English at the local high school, a job I've loved for as long as I can remember. My days were filled with lesson planning, helping my children with their homework, and making sure the house ran smoothly. It wasn't a glamorous life, but it was full of meaning. That all changed on a spring afternoon 2 years ago when something happened that would alter my understanding of life, death, and everything in between. The moment everything shifted. It was just a typical Thursday afternoon. I had come home from work, exhausted from a long day of grading papers and dealing with restless teenagers. I was sitting on the couch with a cup of tea, trying to relax before making dinner, when it hit me. Out of nowhere, a sharp, searing pain shot through my chest. At first, I thought it might be indigestion, something small and insignificant that would pass. But the pain intensified quickly, radiating down my left arm and into my back. I knew right away that something was terribly wrong. I tried to stand up, but my legs felt like they were made of lead. The pain became unbearable, and I could barely breathe. Panic surged through me as I realized I was having a heart attack. I don't remember much about those next few moments. I remember calling out for help, feeling the room spin as I collapsed onto the floor. The world faded, and then everything went dark. The descent into the unknown. When I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in the living room anymore. In fact, I wasn't anywhere that I recognized. At first, there was nothing but darkness, a void that stretched endlessly in every direction. I felt weightless, suspended in a space where time and sound didn't exist. But then, gradually, something began to change. In the distance, I saw a faint glimmer of light, far off but drawing closer with each second. It wasn't a harsh light, it was soft, golden, and warm, like the first rays of dawn breaking through the night. I felt myself being pulled toward it, not by force, but by an undeniable sense of peace and familiarity. It was as if this light was calling me home. As I moved toward the light, the darkness around me began to dissolve. I could hear the faintest sounds, like soft music or the rustling of leaves in the breeze. It felt as though the air itself was alive, vibrating with energy and warmth. I felt no fear, only a deep, calming sense that I was exactly where I was meant to be. A world beyond imagination. When I finally reached the light, I stepped into a world that was unlike anything I had ever seen. It wasn't like Earth, but it felt familiar in a way I couldn't explain. The sky was a radiant, glowing blue, with clouds that shimmered like they were made of silver. Beneath my feet was a field of grass so soft and lush it felt like walking on air. Everything around me seemed to pulse with life. Every blade of grass, every flower, every breeze carried a sense of peace and love that was all-encompassing. I looked down at myself, and I realized that I wasn't in my old body anymore. I felt lighter, freer, and there was no pain, no exhaustion, no burden. It was as if I had shed all the weariness and tension I had carried throughout my life. My body, or whatever I was now, felt whole. As I stood there, taking it all in, I noticed something in the distance, a figure walking toward me. My heart leaped, not with fear but with recognition. I knew who it was even before I could see their face clearly. It was my sister, Lucy. A reunion of souls. Lucy had passed away when we were in our 20s, after a long battle with cancer. Losing her had been one of the hardest things I'd ever gone through, and even after all these years, the pain of her absence never truly left me. And now, here she was, walking toward me, looking radiant and healthy, just as she had before she got sick. When she reached me, I couldn't hold back the tears. I threw my arms around her, and she hugged me back with a warmth that filled every corner of my being. "I've missed you so much," I whispered, choking on the words. "I know," she said softly. "I've been with you the whole time, Emma. I've never really left." It was hard to comprehend what was happening, but at the same time, it felt completely natural. I could feel her love and her presence as strongly as if she had never been gone. "But it's not your time yet," Lucy continued, her voice filled with understanding and tenderness. "There's still more for you to do. You have to go back." I wanted to stay, to never leave this place of peace and beauty where I was reunited with my sister. But deep down, I knew she was right. There was more I needed to do, more love I needed to give, more life I needed to live. The Life Review. As we stood together, the landscape around us began to shift. The glowing field and the sky melted away, replaced by a vast, open space filled with light. In the center of this space, a large, translucent screen appeared. It was as if the universe itself was inviting me to take a closer look at my life. On the screen, my life began to play out in vivid detail. I saw myself as a child, running barefoot through the backyard with Lucy. I saw my parents, my friends, the milestones that had shaped who I became. I watched myself on my wedding day, nervous but filled with joy. I saw the births of my children, the quiet moments of tenderness and laughter that I had shared with them over the years. But it wasn't just the happy memories that I saw. The screen showed me the difficult moments, too, the times I had been impatient or hurtful, the times I had let fear or anger guide my actions. I saw my mistakes and my regrets, and for a moment, I felt the weight of those failures press down on me. But instead of feeling shame or judgment, I felt a profound sense of understanding. It was as if I was being shown these moments not to condemn myself, but to learn from them. There was no anger, no punishment, only a gentle, loving invitation to reflect, to forgive myself, and to grow. A conversation with the divine. As the Life Review came to an end, I felt another presence near me. I turned, and there, standing in a radiant light, was a figure unlike any I had ever seen. Though I couldn't make out the details of his face, I knew instantly who it was. It was Jesus. He didn't speak with words, but I heard his voice within me, clear and compassionate. He didn't ask for explanations or excuses. He didn't question my choices or demand answers. Instead, he simply radiated love, pure, unconditional love that filled every part of me. "You are loved, Emma," his voice said softly. "You have always been loved. And you are never alone." Tears welled in my eyes as I absorbed the enormity of those words. I had spent so much of my life worrying about being good enough, about doing the right things, about living up to expectations. But in this moment, all of that fell away. I realized that love, not perfection, not achievement, was all that truly mattered. "I'm not finished with you yet," Jesus said gently. "There is more for you to do." I understood then that I still had a purpose, that my journey on earth wasn't complete. There were people I needed to help, love I needed to give, and lessons I still needed to learn. As much as I wanted to stay in that place of peace, I knew it wasn't time for me to remain. Returning to life. With a final embrace from Lucy, the light around me began to fade. I felt myself being pulled back, gently but firmly, as though the universe was guiding me back to my body. There was no fear, only a sense of warmth and peace as I returned to the world I had left behind. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in a hospital bed. The sterile smell of the room, the beeping of the machines, and the concerned faces of my family slowly came into focus. Daniel was sitting beside me, holding my hand, his eyes filled with relief. "You're okay," he whispered, his voice cracking with emotion. "You're back." I smiled weakly, feeling the ache in my chest but also the overwhelming gratitude of being alive. I had been given a second chance, and I knew it was a gift. A new way of living. In the days and weeks that followed, I couldn't stop thinking about what I had experienced. It wasn't just the beauty of that otherworldly place or the joy of seeing Lucy again, it was the lessons I had learned. I began to approach life differently. I no longer worried so much about the small things that used to stress me out. I no longer felt the need to prove myself or be perfect. Instead, I focused on love, on giving it, receiving it, and living it every day. I spent more time with my family, truly being present with them, cherishing each moment we had together. I started to let go of the past, forgiving myself for my mistakes and learning to move forward with grace. I also began to share my story with others, not because I wanted to be seen as special, but because I wanted people to understand the importance of love and connection. We are all here for a reason, and the love we give is the most important legacy we can leave behind. The final lesson. If there's one thing I've taken from my near-death experience, it's this: life is not about achieving perfection or living up to someone else's expectations. It's about love, about how we treat ourselves, how we treat others, and how we live with kindness, compassion, and understanding. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this: when the time comes for me to cross that threshold again, I will do so without fear, knowing that I am loved and that love is the most powerful force in the universe. And until that day, I will continue to live each moment with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that every breath is a gift, and every act of love, no matter how small, is a step toward a life well lived.